Welcome everybody. Once again, this is the What the Football channel. This is the BH and Scrubber show. And on today's show, we're going to do a preview of the upcoming New York game. So that game is going to be this Sunday. What's the date on that? 22nd, 23rd,
22nd.
whatever it is, the
Yeah.
day after today, at 1 o'clock. It's going to be in MetLife Stadium in Jersey. Ugh. And on this channel, we're going to do the live stream here where I do a play by play and a live reaction show. Rah, yell and scream and cheer and call the play by play as best as I can for y'all. And of course, BH is going to be in the Scrubber. So, Scrubber, let's go and you can start us off and welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, man. Good to be here. It's nice after a victory, stop that losing streak, and an interesting game with our rivals, the Giants. You say it all the time. It doesn't matter where you are in the standings when teams from the same division play, because all of a sudden that lousy team just gets up and punches you right in the face, man. There's a lot to be said for a rivalry. So before we go into sort of the offenses and defenses and stuff, you want to talk about this injury report first?
Yeah,
This
pretty
kind of
lopsided.
it really is. Our guys, started off the week with some, typical limited Wednesdays and everything. And as the week went on, basically what I'm looking at is everyone's in full participation, including Christian Holmes, who I think he missed the last couple of weeks with that hamstring. He's back to full. Kendra Fuller, once again, was limited. But in an interview, Fuller has said pretty much that's how he manages his knee and how the trainers are managing his knee. So he's in there. He's in on the film sessions. He's a veteran. He knows what the game plan is. It's just nice to know he's going to play. But everyone else, man, Cosme and James Smith-Williams, Ben St. Juste messed up his hand a little bit. And the most surprising thing about this is how the hell is Daron Payne not on here after like cracking 7 fingers?
Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah.
Dude, I saw him mic'd up. They had a Daron Payne mic'd up and they had that play.
Really?
And so it was funny because the mic was on him and he just went, whoa! I mean, it hurt him. And he's on the sideline telling the guys, I don't know what happened, man. I put my finger down and it just went right out. And the trainer was over there and they just popped it back. Trainer was pretty calm. Said, let me see your hand. Let me see your hand. And they're rubbing. Oh, yeah, this will be fine. It'll be straight.
Yeah.
Gives it a pop.
Very lucky.
Yeah, very lucky. Because it looked like just a terrible injury. So anyway, we are looking good. No excuses there. So let's do the flip side. There's a pretty long list of players here. And really the most important, at least from the Giants, is they got 3 linemen. John Michael Schmitz, the rookie, Andrew Thomas, and Matt Pert are like out.
Yep.
And that's bad news. And I think along with that, Evan Neal is questionable, and he mostly didn't practice. We were joking earlier about Evan Neal's played so bad that it would be terrible if he couldn't play because he's been such a garbage right tackle, man. I mean, he's pretty bad. He might be one of the worst rated players on the entirety of PFF. He's pretty terrible. And let's see who else we got here. And even Shane Lemieux, he's a veteran offensive lineman and all. He's been around, but I mean, they put him on an IR. So I mean, once again, man, it's backup city, and then I think everyone else kind of got some full practices in there, and a few, Saquon was limited, but I think they're doing the same thing with him and his injury. They're just monitoring it. He looked pretty good in the second half of that game last week.
Yep, he did.
He actually looked pretty good. So that's not good for us. But anyway, that's the injury report. I hate injury reports like that because you don't want the team reading it, because on paper it looks like, man, we'll kill these guys. But it just so many times that just blows up in your face, because, hey, whoever's in there for the Giants is there to play football. And guess what? They played football all their lives. They might not be a household name, but they know how to play the game.
Yeah.
They're not, So anyway, it looks good on paper. I'm just glad for us. I can't speak to the Giants. I'm just glad for us that really were pretty darn healthy. And actually, after the last few years, man, that hasn't been the case. I mean, it seemed like we were right off the bat, just battling injuries. So, anyway, good news on the injury front. So, where should we start first?
I don't know. If you want to start, we can do maybe. We're already on their offense and what struggling they are. So let's just start with like their offense and what our defense can do to mitigate some of little what they have left.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. For starters, we don't even know who the quarterback's going to be, so that's bad news for them. Right now, Danny Dimes has a neck injury, so we could see what happens there. They have Saquon. He looked pretty good, so that's something to be we got to watch out for, because they might really rely on that run game when they get those backup linemen. Because when you got backups, it's better to run those offensive linemen than to put them in pass pro all the time.
Yep.
So we got to be ready for that, because Saquon really did look pretty good. The receivers are nothing special. Tight end Darren Waller is pretty good.
Yeah.
I think they kind of rely on just getting the ball to different guys. So I mean, it really looks like with our team so healthy that we could do some damage. But going back to the Atlanta game, where we really did good on some key stops, 3 turnovers, and that's great. But the bad news is they just went up and down the field on us. To the tune of what, 400 something yards?
Yeah.
So that cannot happen. That can't happen again. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Because you just wear the team out. And so I
put a lot of that on the offense, though, going 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out in that second half. They weren't
without
helping
a doubt
our defense one bit. So
You're so right about that. Yeah. So we got to get that going. Also, I mean, I think it's good that we got who's that defensive tackle? Abdullah?
Yeah, Anderson.
So he's back now. He didn't play last week. And so I was looking at snap counts again. And I mean, our defense, I've said this last year, and I'm saying it again. I know I sound like a broken record, man, but our interior guys, our 2 top guys, are playing a ton of snaps. I went and looked at Philadelphia's. Man, they rotate 4 guys pretty well. And their top dog has got about 230 total snaps this year, and our 2 guys have 340 something snaps. That's 100 snaps. And people go, well, what's the big deal? But it is a big deal. In game, it's a big deal. And then going for the rest of the season, it's a big deal. You get beat up, more chances to get your eye poked, more chances to fall over and crack your finger. You know how you know how it is. Yeah. So I think I'm really hoping they can trust Anderson in there, and who's our other big boy, our old big
John
old
Ridgeway.
defensive tech, John Ridgeway. Get him in there, trust him. Some FAO Bada, get Effie in there. So instead of 65 snaps, they play 53 snaps and really get everyone rested up. So I think so. Let's look at that. That's really cool. We've got these 3 big boys behind Allen and Payne. Let's see if they rotate them and if we can get fresh, because that's what Philadelphia does. And their D-line destroys people. And they're good players. Don't get me wrong. They have a good D-line, but look how well they rest them. They rest them, they keep their reps down, and they bring guys in. We should be doing that. So let's look for that. I think that's really important. I think we dialed up the blitzes a little more last week, but we were not having any luck against their O-line. I mean, they had no sacks, I don't think, and their O-line is top 5. That Atlanta O-line is really good. So I think Del Rio, to his credit, he dialed up some blitzes. He started sending guys. Now, I kind of like that. I wish we'd just do that as a matter of course.
Right.
Just send guys, but it can be kind of conservative. If we're controlling the game, they'll probably rely on the front 4 taking care of it. That's not a bad strategy, as good as our front 4 is, considering their O-line is a little shaky. I
think he helped by doing that, by bringing Ridgeway in. And going that 5 line, kind of, it allows the 3 men in the middle to be down and the 2 edge rushers to be standing up, and that contains the run better, allows the linebackers to be a little freer in what they're doing. And so even just a little bit more of that
Yeah, why not? Because
They
because the
did it a lot.
linebackers did look good. I
They
mean,
did. Yeah,
Jamin out there in coverage.
mm-hmm.
We talk about Cody Barton finally had like his first good game. Actually, not just his first good game, his first not terrible game. Because quite frankly,
Right.
he wasn't very good. All of a sudden, Cody Barton was like getting in between. He was slicing in on tackles. He wasn't getting
Yeah.
washed out, and that might be due to like what you're saying. A nice big 5-man front
Mm-hmm.
keeps the offensive linemen off of those guys. So, yeah, I could. I mean, I'm for anything like that. You know
Right.
what I mean? I think just going standard all the time doesn't work in the modern NFL on
No.
offense or defense. It just
Right.
doesn't work, man.
Mm-hmm.
And you and I are about as conservative and old school as could be. And when you and
Mm-hmm.
I are pounding the table for,
Right.
bubble screens and jet sweeps and long post routes, I mean, come on, they've got to do it. So anyway, I mean, I think it looks great for our defense. I think our defense has a real good chance to just choke these guys down. We run, we eat up clock, we score, and we don't have to go crazy in this game. And we really should be able to choke these guys down with this D. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
if they don't, we'll be talking about it on Tuesday. But
Yeah.
I mean, really, there's no reason why, if they really want to be a top tier D and they've got so few injuries, they got all their players back, why not? Why can't you control and dominate a team? Happens every weekend in the NFL. Good defenses, you see it all the time. They dominate and control games.
Yep.
So I think we should. That's that.
Well, last year they picked on our defense. I mean, we had actually Christian Holmes. Man, they just targeted him the whole game, and he just let play after play after play get by him. And I forget why we didn't have. I forget why he was even out there, but he got torched a bunch of times. And when Danny Dimes was in there, he was running on us, so he was a big factor in them couple games last year. And those two things aren't there this year. So I don't think from what I hear people saying, he ain't going to play. It's going to be Tyrod Taylor. Or if he does, it might be limited if he gets popped a couple times. So it's it's the same different defense, but a little different. We don't have Christian Holmes out there for them to target and beat up on. I think our front line is a lot stronger now.
Oh, yeah.
It is going to be won and lost in the trenches, and just mostly just stopping Saquon. Making Tyrod Taylor. He made some dumb decisions in that last game. Their coaching staff made dumb decisions all over the place anyway. So I think our defense has got their offense sewn up. It should be no problem. So, which begs the question: what is their defense going to do against our offense? So
yeah, no kidding. Well, I mean, I do think this is, we've been throwing the hell out of the ball, which is shocking as heck. I mean, Eric Bieniemy has dialed up a lot of passes. That's not necessarily a good thing. This is a game where we can play Washington football, where we start grinding out some runs, eating up clock. Obviously we're going to throw and pass, but there's no reason to be throwing a ton and going 3 and out. And then, you can be conservative, but also do something different on first down.
Yeah.
Don't just run up the middle with B-Rob. Don't be afraid to try something on first. I mean, that's, let's, mix it up a little. Don't be so predictable. But I kind of think, I mean, with our 2 running backs and our line, we ought to be able to dictate the run, a heavy run presence against that team. That's what I think. I mean, I think this should be typical grind it out, Washington football team football, man. Get those hogs going. And just control the game and know that the defense is gonna stuff those guys. And let's keep the turnover thing going too. But I think pretty conservative. I think the main thing is their weaponry is their tight end, Darren Waller came over from the Raiders, is pretty darn good. I mean, he really looks like a receiver. That guy whenever you see him, and he wears number 12, so that's confusing as hell right there because he looks. But when you watch him, he kind of runs and plays like a receiver. That's a guy that's one weapon. I know they've got Slayton, they got this young kid, Wan'Dale Robinson. But as a team, they could probably do some damage if they spread the ball around and utilize those guys properly. But there's just no one there besides Saquon that you have to be scared of. You know what I mean? There's no one there that's going to terrify you. So I just think they ought to be able to. Our DBs are doing good. I think they're still going to give Mount Forbes a rest. Let Forbes just kick back again. Our DBs are doing really good, and I think our safeties played pretty good. Another thing on defense is that we did lose some key guys. Jeremy Reeves, who's also a great special teams guy, and you pointed out earlier that our gunners look pretty darn good.
Yeah,
down there. So
3 Castro Fields.
Yep, looked pretty good. So, but yeah, losing Reeves and then Derek Forrest, our free safety, big part of the defense. But Percy Butler played 100% of the snaps back there. And then they cycled Quan Martin in now. Mm-hmm. And Kaliki Hudson did a great job, man. They brought him up on the line, and he had about 10 snaps, and he looked awesome. Yep. Kind of that Buffalo nickel hybrid guy. He looked pretty good. So very athletic, very quick. So I was really happy to see that, so that we don't stumble. You know what I mean? So we don't take a step back. Let's see how these 3 guys progress. But if those young guys can really step up, those 3, man, that would be awesome for this defense. And they did, I would say, pretty darn well against the Falcons. Yep. So yeah, that's all I got on the D. I think it looks really good.
Yeah, the D looks good. I think we talked about the offense. Just run the ball. I think we can run the ball better against New York than we could against Atlanta. Atlanta had a good run stop. So and run the ball against New York, that'll be good because they blitz and do stunts and bring different people, and they tore us up last year in a couple areas like that. So that'll be up to EB to dial up some. Run the ball, but most of the time when we run, it's just through the A gap. It seems like it just like nothing. It's all just super vanilla, just pounded up the middle, and just you got to do a little bit different. I'd like to see Chris Rodriguez in there as well. So
yeah, me too.
Other than that, on the offense, I think last year, speaking of last year, Jahan Dotson did real good for us last year in both of those games against New York. He was incredible. Yeah. So, people say he's been struggling. He did drop that pass, but he's still doing pretty good. You got to let him get back into the game. He's a key player for us. So, last year he did really, really good for us. And those 2 losses that we had, that was just more like shooting ourselves in the foot. So if we can avoid that kind of stuff, the penalties, the turnovers, the miscatches, the bad clock management, the missed field goals. I know it's asking a lot, but those were the things that killed us last year. We had Taylor in there. I love Taylor, but now we've got our boy Sam Howell in there, so that should help. We talked about earlier, Christian Holmes last year. They targeted the shit out of him last year. He pretty much cost us the one game. So, but we shouldn't sleep on New York. They've had a hard schedule so far. They've had to play Dallas. They lost that one. It was like 40-0. They got smoked. Then they played the Cardinals, who they beat, and then they lost to San Francisco. They lost to Seattle. They lost to the Miami Dolphins, and they lost to the Buffalo Bills. Well, hell, if we played that schedule, we'd be 1-5 too. So we can't say, oh, they're a 1-5 team. They're a 1-5 team because they played to 5 teams that we're semi-expected to lose to. So we can't let our guard down, even though they're beat up on their O-line. They really got a good D. They could get in and stifle our offense and keep it a super low scoring game, and they could get lucky, kick one more field goal than us. So we got to be careful of that. And I'm hopeful for this game. It is in New Jersey, so got to get that out of the way. We don't normally play well against New York, their division team, but I think we can pull this one off. We're looking really good. So given all the examples and things that we've talked about in this show. So looking forward to it, actually.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. So the only thing I think that we know that stadium, we know that field, it's not the greatest field in the world. It's turf. But one thing is that we're not going to be playing in cold late, cold weather and all, but it's supposed to be windy. So let's
Yeah.
keep an eye on that. It could be
Yeah.
up to 20 miles an hour.
Hmm.
And 14 or 15, not a big deal unless you're kicking a 56-yard field goal. But you start to get up to 20, now your passes can go. So that's another reason why you want to control that ground game if it gets like that. So
Yeah.
we'll just keep an eye on that weather and just see how things are blowing.
And not to let yourself get behind, so you have to pass more.
Exactly.
Another reason and just not to get behind anyways. I'd really like to have a little bit of breathing room to at least the first half for this game. So
yeah, no kidding. I know. Why does every game have to be a heart attack?
I know, every time, dude. I love it though. You'll hear me saying the thing. I love it. I wouldn't have it any other way. It's a lot of fun. You scream and yell, and hopefully you pull out the win. So we really need this one. We said it against the Bears, but this is against a division team. So we really need this one. And then also too, I'd like to say, if we pull out this win, I think we should talk about the upcoming schedule, because I've adjusted my thinking about the upcoming schedule and actually what could happen and what our other division rivals, who they've got to play still and who we've got to play. And man, it looks pretty good. It looks pretty good. I mean, kind of hoping that some of them shit the bed and we get lucky in a couple places. It could be a whole different outlook to our division than it looks right now. People could be going like this in our division. So I think that'd be a good thing to do for our recap show for this game, providing we win. So
yeah, I agree. And then with I think aren't the Eagles are playing the Dolphins?
Right. They've got some hard games coming up too, just like all the rest of us. So they get to bed.
It could be. That would be awesome. Matter of fact, if that was the case, if we were to win and the Eagles lost to the Dolphins, we might be playing for first place.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah.
That's how close it is.
The Chargers let us down for the fucking Dallas, but little things, we got to continue winning and then hope that these guys, they've got to play these hard games too. And away games for some of these. We've been lucky. I think coming up, we got the Dolphins at home, San Francisco at home. So at least they're home games and we don't have to travel. So yeah.
Well, that would be great to do a follow-up show and have a schedule show. That would be good.
Cool.
Yeah.
We got to cover anything else?
Special teams. I think, I mean, like I say, it's going to be windy. The Meadowlands is known for that. And we got a really good punter, and our kicker, Joey Sly, we don't want to put the game in his hands.
No,
we don't want to do it. So other than that, we got a great punt returner.
Yeah. Woohoo!
I'd like to see more good punt returns again. Kick returns are hard. It's all throughout the league. It's really hard. Most guys just let it go in the end zone. You try and run it out and you get stuffed at the 20 anyway. Punts are different. There's times when you got teams pushed back where your returner's got some room. So that would be nice. I'd like to see, because like you said, man, that was a catalyst. That return really that set us up.
Yeah, shades of DeAndre Carter. I miss that guy.
I do too.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, cool.
All right, man. Well, I'll be there tomorrow.
Yeah,
I'll be in the chat.
Everybody. Yeah, join us Sunday. He's going to be in the chat. I'm going to be calling the play-by-play Sunday at 1:00 Eastern, and look forward to it. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, BH.
You're welcome, man. Good show.